Guys. So I was very graciously gifted a copy of this fantastic Oracle deck, which is the Wisdom of the Shadow. I actually won a giveaway on their Instagram. I've been following their work for quite some time, and I found this deck very beautiful and very meaningful. Obviously, it's right up my alley, but I just wasn't unable to purchase it. And so when they opened up a giveaway on their Instagram, I figured I would enter, and much to my amazed luck, I won. And it happened to come while I was out in Washington, so I hadn't gotten a chance to do a flip through or share on my channel, but I really wanted to share this with you guys, so we're getting around to it now. So this is the Wisdom of the Shadow, an oracle deck for self-discovery, soul work, and transformation. This was a card that they had sent me that was so sweet. This is a beautiful box. It's very solid, wonderful. It is by Jenny Han and Jessica Richetti, I think is how you say her last name. um, I see. I have a difficult last name too. I had a common last name, and then I got married. Welcome, wise one. Within you lies a goldmine of truth, ready to be discovered and integrated. With an open mind and a courageous heart, it is time to enter the mystery of the shadow, to uncover the wisdom waiting to be revealed. So, I'm getting into that ribbon there. We'll put the box aside and show you guys a little bit of the guidebook, and then we'll get into the card. I love this. This is beautiful. It says, may your journey with the wisdom of the shadow be potent, alive, and revelational. May this oracle meet you in the depth that you choose to work with it. May you feel the stretch of walking in with your shadow. Excuse me. I just drank a ton of water before I started filming. Yeah. May this work reward you with the deepest inner gold. May you sink into more layers of authentic being. I love that line in particular. May you be guided with the wisdom within. May you shed all layers that no longer serve. May you be cloaked in the brilliance and the fullest expression of you. So it talks a little bit about how this came to be. I love this. There's no right or wrong way to engage with this oracle. Allow your inner wisdom to guide the way. So it seems like it's a very open deck to work with. I have not jumped into this deck yet, and one of the reasons why I am actually doing this video now is, first of all, I'm finally getting around to it, and second of all, I've been pulled to work with this deck. And this week I was like, I need to prioritize making this video so I can start working with this deck. Um, but they have shadow exploration tips, um, ideas for working with this oracle, contemplations and rituals, ways to amplify your rituals. This is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to diving into the book a little bit more. Um, but then there is quite a few spreads that look, ooh, up on camera, very well thought out, and I'm looking forward to trying all of these. Oh, so with each card here, you have contemplations and a ritual. This is fantastic. And the beautiful creators, they are so kind. Like I said, I follow them on Instagram. They are just a joy to interact with. I just love it. Oops. There we go. So I would have some more to say on the book if I had gotten a chance to work through this deck and read through it, but this is really my first impressions. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a more, I suppose, raw experience. So it is edged in black. We have authenticity. I am here. Pick me, love me. I am here for you always. I will never leave you. I love this. I'm fine. So they have the mask that says I'm fine and it's cracking. And then at the core of their heart, it says I am here. And then there's all these lines of encouragement. Pick me. Interesting. And then on the outer layers, you see more of, wanting to be loved, wanting to be seen. And I think that that's something that we all really struggle with, especially in the age of social media. Showing our authentic selves it can be very difficult. It is a vulnerability. And when you try so hard to seek validation through the modern age, it is as though you're wearing a mask. So being able to show your authentic self, personally for me, I've done my best to show my authentic self on my presence online on this channel and on my Instagram account. Um, just because to me it's less of a burden and it's more of just me being me. And I find that I flow easier um water chugging, burps, bumping the camera, and not editing. And all, I find that you guys really get a peek into who I am as a person. And I do think that that for me as a content creator does make it a lot easier to make content because I don't have to put on this mask and I'm not buckling under the pressure. I don't know, that's just what came to me. So I might have a lot to say about some of these cards and I might have very little to say about others. It just depends on what I'm feeling tonight. Balance, that's beautiful. Looks like their aura surrounding them. Who else can do this pose really well? I'm working on it. I'm trying. Boundaries. Get the fuck away from me. Just look at that. They have their shield up and they're just trying to protect themselves. Leave me alone. Fuck you. Get lost. Go away. You're crazy. It is very, very hard to set boundaries. And in my personal experience as a highly sensitive person and a person that tends to absorb the emotions of others and the energies around me, I very much struggle with boundaries, so much so that oftentimes I don't even realize that I need to set them until I'm completely suffering. Boundaries are extremely important, and it is something that I have learned a tremendous amount about, especially over the last 5 years of my life since I've gotten into my 30s. And it's incredible that it took me that long to realize how important it is to have this loud inner voice, to speak up for yourself and say, I need you to respect my boundary. When you are doing that, you are actually showing your authentic self. When you are doing that, you are actually honoring your spirit and honoring everything that makes you who you are because you are showing yourself respect. And it took me a long time to really understand that. Change. That is a very interesting way to show change. It looks like we have the rising sun. There's all this fire energy. Some of it looks destructive in a way. Um, the first thing that I thought was maybe perhaps volcanic or forest fire. And I guess there's a duality to this too, because you have these blue colors over here that are kind of more calm, and the sun bringing light over here. But then this chaotic energy here, and change can feel like both of those things. It can either be complete and utter chaos, much like a tower moment in our life. we can all attest to the fact that this last year and a half has been a very much a tower moment. It's brought about so much change, and a lot of it has felt more like this versus this. But oftentimes, when we experience this, we come to this. So I think that's really an interesting take on change. Confusion, feeling split, feeling just where do I go? What do I do? I'm so torn and lost, and I don't have the pieces together. Although it does kind of look like some of those pieces might be coming together. It's interesting. Our heart being pulled in two different directions. Connection. These two figures with this warmth in the middle, and they are just almost blending together. That is what genuine connection feels like. And we feel it through both platonic and romantic. And I think that's also something that I really wish more people would really draw attention to, is the fact that we can have platonic connections like this that are just as rewarding. And we put so much emphasis on romance, which I think both are just equally as rewarding. And oftentimes, when we have a loss in our life where a connection like this burns out, even if it's platonic, it can feel just as painful as a romantic connection ending as well. Courage. Riding this river to the sun or to the light while there is all these monsters on each side of you, and you're just going to keep flowing, you're going to keep going. This card is my life right now. This is exactly how I am feeling with trying to take on some of the endeavors that I have been terrified to do, thinking that I'm not good enough. And, you know, these monsters are all my doubts and fears just telling me, who are you to think you can do that? But I'm going to keep writing that damn river, guys. I'm going to keep writing it. Dependency. Huh. That is interesting. So, the way that I see this card is that with the large presence of the mouth, sometimes our dependency on something speaks louder than what our actual needs truly are. We think we need something when we don't necessarily need it. So that voice is louder than, for say, what the true thing that you may need, that you, for instance, letting go of said dependency. I don't know, it's just very interesting. Discomfort. Being completely lost in your own mind. And I think it's interesting that this fire is kind of coming up from the heart and up the throat. Have you ever been in a situation where your discomfort just crawls up your chest like this? It radiates up your chest. You know that something's wrong. You know that something's not right. And you know that your skin's crawling. Um, it's interesting because those are our internal alarm systems, and that's a very primal thing that we experience. And those with anxiety, their primal switch, that switch is on all the time, flipped on. Um, I have generalized anxiety disorder, so I understand what this feels like, but we all experience this emotion, and it's very interesting that it's depicted this way. I've always had this feeling, but I've never actually seen someone make a visual representation of it in this way. So that's actually really cool. Disillusion. You have this figure here in the water and all these, it's just drifting away. Doubt. Hmm. They're drowning. Or they're underwater because you can see the air bubbles. And it looks like we just can't get out. That's what doubt does feel like. It feels like you're swimming, you're stuck under this heaviness. And that voice, the the voice of doubt speaks the loudest to us. And that's something that I think once we don't give it power, it starts to quiet down. You can even tell it to shut up, honestly. Emotion. Look at these figures here in the middle. And this all this fire once again raising up from the heart and in through the throat. I actually see like some references, I would say, to the chakras, the energy points in the body, which I find really fascinating as well. But it seems like, so it looks there's tears, it looks like there could be anger. There's kind of the whole spectrum of emotion here, and happiness. And when we have an emotion, a very big one, I like to call them big feelings when I'm speaking to my children. We have a tendency to feel them rising up from our chest and up through our throat, where we tend to verbalize them. And having the mindfulness to recognize those emotions and slow down and give them a proper attention before just reacting, I think sometimes can be really helpful when it comes to very strong negative emotions. And even sometimes when it comes to very strong positive emotions, sometimes we have a hard time voicing what we want to say. At least in my experience, I tend to really struggle with that. So that's an interesting, very interesting emptiness, empty hole in us. Many of us have experienced this in many different ways. And I can tell you that as a person who suffers from depression, emptiness is it feels quite like this. It's and you sit with yourself just like this, wondering, will I ever feel whole again? Expectations. Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, hold on. Cards are slipping away from me. You, dear, you are loved. Work harder. Not good enough. Piercing them. Look at that. Piercing them. Not good enough. Um, she's doing the best that she can. Wouldn't you like to get to know her better? That's silly. You're working her to death. We have to do better. Mm, and it's hard for me to read just because I'm blind, guys. I'm destined for bifocals. I need to get LASIK. Fix my eyes. Um, But I mean, this in particular, I love the duality of this person reaching out and grasping them, but you have all the arrows in the mind, kind of really showing just the pain and suffering that expectations can do to us, and this huge injury here from not good enough. I want to read. You never be as good. Huh, as the others. Work harder. Wow. I think I really think this one's very powerful. They're all powerful, let's be honest. But I mean, this one's definitely getting me. Ooh, fear. Check this out. Check out the body language. That's the first thing that popped out on me. Like the body language. Look at these voices feeding into this person's head. Their body language is rigid. You can tell that they are uncomfortable. You can tell that they're afraid. You can tell that they're stiff and solid and tense. You can see the turning of the stomach and the oh, now I'm actually kind of like feeling that in my stomach. Oh, that's so weird. Or the tightness in the chest. Oh, it's just remarkable that, like, basically how they were able to really depict these emotions with such depth in really kind of pulling out, dissecting the physical sensations that we feel when we feel these emotions. For me, my emotions are always very physical. Maybe that's because I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm not sure, but I can easily pick out and very much understand what I'm seeing here. Frustration. Again, a very fiery energy billowing inside of us with all this chaos on the outside. Oftentimes, Frustration comes from both within and without. It is environmental sometimes, or something bubbling up in us that is also being exacerbated by the outside experiences or environmental experiences. Greed, little green monster. My life, my love, my money, my daddy, my attention, my body, my car, my world, clutching these things tightly. Ugh. I look at this and see all the money stacked behind it, and I'm like, look, it's capitalism. It's the 1%. I have many feelings about that. So. Grief. Experiencing grief a, a considerable amount over the last 4.5 years. I have lost one, if not two people I've loved a year, every year. So this emotion I am no stranger to. And the first thing that I see when I look at this card is that one of the things that I learned about grief is that it is not a cycle, or it is not linear, it is a cycle. And oftentimes, grief will come over you like a wave. You will be doing something, and then suddenly you will think about the person and or thing that you potentially have lost, or. And it comes over you like a wave. All of a sudden, your entire world turns upside down, and everything just comes flowing at you. So that's what I see with like the waterfalls of tears coming out of this figure. Identity. Okay. This is interesting. So she has this mask on her face, and it seems like the identity is lost in what she should be. At least that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Now I'm actually kind of curious with this one for the guidebook. Always look at the table of contents, guys. Gain grief. Identity. I know who I am. I accept and appreciate the unique layers of myself. I am me, wild, unbiased. Underneath the blood and snakes is a girl, a human, a soul, a heart, love. What is seen isn't the whole picture. There is more than meets the eye. The entire universe exists within, unique, weird, wide, wise, one of a kind. Whoa, throwing stuff. Or, yeah. Medusa was depicted as a grotesque monster of a woman. In fact, not even a woman, but a feared and wrathful mythical creature. Sorry, guys, I'm dyslexic. So, snakes for hair, an awful appearance, blood that births beasts, and will turn you into stone. Under the surface is the story of a woman, a maiden who was sexually taken against her will and then punished for it by being cursed. That is remarkable. So this really kind of goes deeper than I had initially anticipated this card. So I'm actually kind of glad that I went into the guidebook on that one. Wow. Inner child. You can see the inner child within there. For the longest time, I actually avoided inner child work until recently, over the last few months in therapy, it was recommended to me. And one of the first things I did is I went out and I bought a same exact copy of a toy that I loved when I was little. That meant a tremendous amount to me that I actually lost in a breakup. Ex-boyfriend threw it in the garbage, knowing what it was and how much it meant to me. That was awesome. Um, but I went and bought another one for myself, surprised that I could find it. But the thing is that I essentially just went and healed a wound. And I think that being able to do that really was me speaking to my inner child. And the moments where we feel scared or we feel like things aren't in our control, that is our inner child. And sometimes we need to speak to him, her, or them in a way that a parent would speak to a child. And doing so honestly really brings about some remarkable healing, especially when you need to learn how to parent yourself. It's it opens up a lot of doors of self-awareness. Integration. I love the flow of all of this coming together. Like you can actually see it from up here. That's really interesting. Intrusion. Ooh, that is definitely, yup. That, oh, that makes my skin crawl, but it also is just fantastic because that is really on the mark. Judgment. I see some words here. And I'm gonna bring them closer. It just says no. Um, I can't read all of it, but that's interesting. Letting go. Oh, look at, again, this is another fantastic one for the pose of this figure, just how free they look and how they are just like, I'm over this. I released it. I'm now letting go and I have set myself free. One of my favorite depictions of the death card actually is the one in the Moonchild Tarot because the pose of the figure is very similar to this, where they are very open and receptive and the death card can honestly be a lot of about letting go. So I don't know. I love it. That's fantastic. Metamorphosis. So the first thing that I actually saw was the what looked like a big eye, but is actually looks like a cocoon with this figure inside of it. And we are always going through a metamorphosis, should we allow ourselves to do so. And I think that's something that I think we underestimate the brilliance and the beautifulness of is that we are always changing, we are always evolving, we are always just creatures of growth, I think. Opening. This is the cover on the box art as well as the guidebook. Who else has closed off doors that they need to open? Pain. Again, I'm going to talk about, the body language of this individual, and it does show them trying to protect themselves or oh, that's just really cool. Panic. Oh my goodness, this is. You can see these scissors here and then just the chaos inside the stomach. Once again depicting kind of the tightness in the chest or you see these hands here kind of closing in on this person. There's more hands grabbing around the head and all up and down the arms. When we are in a state of panic, it does feel like we're just being almost crushed, consumed. Everything's closing in on us. It's, yeah, this is right on the money. It hits the mark. Rage. There's some small writing here. I'm just going to bring it up closer to myself so I can read it. Um, so there's this person, this very small person here, clinging to the inside of this figure that is clearly enraged. That is fascinating. I couldn't quite read the writing, but I'm sure in the guidebook it say it's gonna be a long video. I kind of just what is with me doing that? I kind of just wanted to go through this and be a little deeper and a rageful monster, green and furious, distorted, expressive, flames rising up from the roots, anger and expletives, spewing out what is felt deep within. Hear me, see me, I matter. Hidden inside is the truth, scared and pleading to be held. That makes sense then. Okay, so that is this figure here. That is really um oh, I remember seeing a quote once about anger and how um our anger is basically an expression of an emotion or a feeling that should have been heard. Something along the lines of that. I'm not quoting it directly because I can't remember the quote exactly, but basically was that. And to me, that was anger is a very hard emotion to feel and to express and to understand. For me, it's one of the most difficult ones. And oftentimes when we feel angry, there's some other reason deeper inside of why our anger is what it is. And if we don't understand that feeling, then we become this. A reflection. Going within. Resilience. All of the pieces, it looks like they're kind of being mended back together. I love it. Resistance. It seems like this person has what they need inside them, and they are just saying no. Um, to me, that's what I see, but that also makes me really think about the boundaries card too, because it's kind of, to me, it's almost the same concept, but I'm curious what the guidebook will say. Rising, the phoenix. The phoenix is one of my favorite mythological creatures. Sadness. All these tears just pouring out. Self embrace. Oh, this is fantastic. Look at this. Dream, find, make. Hold yourself. Look at the cape. They have like a superhero cape. At least that's what I see, but I love it. Like for me, embracing myself and loving myself for who I was, I'm going to go on a little bit of a nerd tangent here, but for me, learning to do that started with kind of with superheroes. And it started with, X-Men and Sailor Moon and all the things that I enjoyed when I was a kid that spoke to me and showed me that I could be the hero for myself. I learned a lot from that, and I don't know. That's what I see when I see this garter. That's kind of where it starts, but I love it. It's fantastic. Sensuality. Hmm. Okay. Mm. So I'm just trying to see everything from. So we have this figure here, and then here. That is interesting. I feel like I could get lost in this image, just trying to take it all in. Shame. Ooh, shame makes us feel small. Oftentimes we lash out because we feel ashamed instead of actually processing the emotion and trying to figure out why we feel ashamed. Soul care. Tenderness. Again, this one definitely seems more of to the look at the flowers sprouting out of this person. To the tenderness with ourselves. Truth. Hmm. Victory. Look at all these people grabbing onto this person and this person just rising above. That is really interesting. Voice. Vulnerability. I was hoping this card would be in here. Love me. Tell me I'm okay. Am I enough? Will I die alone? Look at me, see me. It's hard to be vulnerable. Look at these hooks opening up the chest cavity, and inside is this person as themselves removing, this mask or this cloak. Inside is just them, and vulnerability is strength in a lot of ways. It also is very hard to do, and it feels often very much like this with these hooks. It is painful to be vulnerable, and it is frightening to be vulnerable. But oftentimes, being vulnerable is completely necessary. Wisdom. I love it. I love the glow of this figure, like all the subtle glow around them, and then just kind of how it comes further out, and you can see, space and beyond back here, and just how wisdom helps us connect with our higher selves. Okay, so that is the wisdom of the shadow, and I know this is a long video, guys, but I really kind of want to take my time with this deck and deep dive into it a little bit. I'm looking forward to working with it. Once again, I really want to thank the lovely artists for sending this to me. And yay for me winning the giveaway. I was excited, so excited to, I think it just was meant to be. So I'm going to start diving into this deck, and then hopefully I can make a video a little bit later on about how that all worked out for me. And I have several decks that are a lot like this, in their own ways, I should say. But to me, these are very, very helpful tools when it comes to shadow work and self exploration, something that I'm always, always striving to do. So thank you for being patient with me going through this deep dive. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. And as always, blessed be.